to be going over hotel liability for guest property. Generally, an innkeeper under the common law doctrine of infrahospitum is strictly liable for loss or damage to a guest property, unless it is an act of God, which could be something like a fire or a tornado or a hurricane or flood, or as it relates to public enemy, which could be during wartime. If you're at a hotel and all your stuff is packed and there's the war going on, they can't be liable for that. Or if that loss or damage is at the fault of the guest. Say they didn't lock their room or they left their bag unattended. Throughout history, old common law rules for innkeepers include their duty of care for guest property and obligation to serve all travelers. A place of public accommodation has its roots in earlier times before cars and electricity. Back in the day when people traveled by horse-drawn carriages, inns and taverns were not in such large numbers as they are today. This being said, it could be quite some time before you find another hotel traveling, before you reach another one. Dangers of weather, robbers, and overall nighttime travel were high. The rule of public accommodation protected people back then from all of these things, mandating that innkeepers with vacancies accept all guests, and it still does today. As we get into modern framework, I'd like to talk about bailments. A lot of times, hotels will allow you to check your coat or provide a safe for your valuable items. When a hotel invites you to surrender your property, the hotel assumes liability for that property. This is what's considered to be a bailment. A bailment is a legal relationship in common law. This type of bailment with a hotel is typically for the sole benefit of the bailer. To prove a valid bailment, you need to prove a few things. You need to prove intent, possession, exercise exclusive control, and agreement for the property to be returned. In a bailment, the bailer must inform the bailee of what they are receiving. So say I arrive at the hotel for a dinner and I check my coat, and it is a $300 coat, but I do have a $2,000 watch in the pocket. But I don't inform the employee who is working the coat check. I come back from dinner and my coat is missing. The hotel would be liable for the value of the coat, but not the $2,000 watch that was inside, because I did not inform the employee that it was in there. The bailee, or the hotel, frequently attempt to disclaim their liability for loss or damage, but courts often refuse to honor the disclaimers, usually looking for one of two justifications for invalidating them. These two justifications being lack of notice and public policy exception. The bailee must show that the bailer in fact knew about the disclaimer. In some cases, even if the bailer knew about the disclaimer, the courts will still hold the bailee liable on public policy grounds, especially when the bailee is a business. It is often seen that the business brings in so much money, it won't be as harsh of a loss for them to cover the bailer than it would the bailer to cover the loss themselves. And that brings us to our conclusion. I think modern day rules when it comes to hotels' liability for guest property have a positive impact on both the guest and the hotel. if you are aware of the laws. Bailments and limited liability statutes protect both the guest and the hotel from major losses.